Welcome into part 3 of the Week 9 preview, where we're going over the last 5 matchups to finish up Week 9. We got 4 teams on bye. I always forget who they are, but I know San Francisco, Denver. There's some good fantasy teams for sure. Jacksonville. Yeah, and then one more. It just left me. Anyways, I think we going through these videos. Probably the toughest week we've had, I'd say, Brian, just because of all the backup quarterbacks makes it so hard, combined with the buys. Would you agree? It's like the toughest week.
Yeah, it's pretty rough. It was between this and the one where they had 6 teams on bye a couple of weeks ago. Like, that made it a little rough. Like, well, I don't know. It actually might have made it a little bit easier because it's kind of like you have to start this guy because you're missing these guys. So, yeah, you're probably right. It probably is the hardest.
Yeah, and we talked about we talked about a bunch of games, and we should touch on a few things that have come up over today. You know, it's Friday. We recorded Thursday night. We're getting the Friday practice reports. Things like Deshaun Watson, I think, is going to play for the Browns. So does that change? I mean, we already kind of in on Amari Cooper anyways, especially this week. But now it's like a no-brainer, right, to start Amari Cooper.
Yeah, he's a hard one to get away from just because of like his position on the team, you know, as the number one guy. Yeah, and like we've seen the chemistry more last year than this year, I think, with Deshaun Watson.
Yeah. And I think even like Elijah Moore, like you can.
Yeah, like I'm not too worried about it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think even like Elijah Moore, you can potentially like throw in there. I know it sounds gross, but like if you're super desperate, you know, you could get some targets coming his way, especially if his shoulder's bothering him and he can't throw deep. Josh Downs is questionable. I mean, that doesn't really affect anyone else. If he's out, obviously you're not starting him. Amari DiMercado's out. That just came over 17 minutes ago. So, I mean, are we firing up Keontae Ingram, or we already kind of like didn't want to start DiMercado, but
yeah, I don't like desperation flex, you know, like it just kind of depends on what you have going on your roster. But yeah, he probably is going to carry the load there. But like we said during the Cardinals Cleveland game recap, or not recap, but preview, it's kind of like, yeah, it's a tough matchup. So I don't feel great about that.
Yeah, and he's not very, and we don't even know if they could throw in Damian Williams if he's still on their practice squad or something. So Damian Pierce is out. So I think Singletary is an interesting play now, because we were like, we don't want either one, but now that there's just one of them, I'm kind of in on Singletary. You agree there?
Yeah. I do actually. The matchup still, it's not great, but it's not like terrifying either. So, yeah, I think, the targets and like the rush attempts should be concentrated. He'll get 15 plus touches this week. So, yeah, fire him up.
Yeah, I think I might go him over the Rams guys, knowing they're going to kind of split drives and they kind of have with their backup quarterback potentially. That's another thing. Matthew Stafford's game time decision, so he's not even ruled out yet. Kyler Murray's questionable for Week 9, is making the trip to Cleveland. So I don't know, a lot of interesting stuff, but that's about it, I think, unless I missed something. But you can let me know. But we'll get into the first matchup of today, and that's the Colts and the Panthers. Over under a 43.5. Colts are favored by 2.5. Something I kind of failed to mention. We'll start with the Colts. I'll get to that in a minute. We'll start with Minshew. I think we kind of like him as a streamer this week. Like if you picked him up as a streamer, I'm totally comfortable starting Minshew. You're right there with me with that one. Good matchup.
Yeah, low end streamer for sure, or low end starter rather. Yeah, the matchup's good, and yeah, I like Minshew this week.
Yeah, I was just to get inside my head a little bit. I had Geno Smith. That's the only quarterback I had on my roster in our league, and I was basically debating between Minshew, Baker, and Daniel Jones. Like, who do I want to start? And I had Daniel Jones originally, but then I was like, nah, I'm just going to go with Baker. So he's definitely, Minshew's definitely up there. Like, I could have easily gone Minshew. I think Minshew was on the waivers. But anyways, he's one of those. Like, Derek Carr would probably be above all those guys, but he's rostered. But yeah, I agree. He's kind of a low end starter this week. So something I failed to mention with like the running back situation was with Jonathan Taylor. I don't know if he's completely healthy because he played in the game and had like all the carries in the first half of last week. And then he had one carry in the second half. So it was really weird how it all played out. I think he had 11 carries in the first half, one in the second half, and he just wasn't playing as much. It was mostly Zach Moss. So make you a little nervous in terms of either Zach Moss and Jonathan Taylor. Like, one, is he healthy? And two, if he is healthy, does that make you nervous about Zach Moss, that they've completely gone away from him?
No, I don't think so. Like, I mean, we kind of figured, it would be Taylor's backfield once he got back, but he's not necessarily doing what he did last year, where he was basically playing, over 70% of the snaps every game that he was healthy. Moss obviously made an impression. Like, he has been trending in the wrong direction since Taylor came back. Well, 50, 50, 40 are his like percent snaps like since Taylor came back. Not including the first game, I guess, when they were really trying to ease him back. So I don't know. I think we said it a few weeks ago with Zach Moss. Like, I think we're just going to keep starting him until he gives us like a real reason not to. I mean, you could be stuck holding the bag a little bit, but Carolina's run defense is bad. So I think both guys can be productive this week.
Yeah. I am just worried about like that whole situation that happened, and I'm just double checking here with Zach Moss what he did in the first half. He had one carry so he had, looks like, about 5 or 6 carries in the about 8 carries and 8 touches in the first half. Okay, so he was playing. I don't know, but they were definitely using Jonathan Taylor a lot more. It seemed like it was more like a 70-30 split. So yeah, I'll keep rolling with Moss, like you said, until you get a reason not to. But something to monitor this week for sure. And Jonathan Taylor's not on the injury report, so I think he's fine. But it was just weird that he like hardly played in the second half, or hardly had a touch. And yeah, Pittman's a must start. So are you worried about Josh Downs? I mean, if he's game time, he's questionable with a knee injury. Are you worried if he does start? Like, does that bring him down a little bit to you? Like, you're going to start Tank Dell, Addison, Rashee Rice over him because you're worried maybe he's not 100% and he's not really a must start anyways?
Yeah, like it is a little worrisome. I'm just looking up when the Indianapolis game is.
I think it's a morning game. They're playing Carolina. It's East Coast.
Yeah, right. So it should be fine. Like, you should know. I know. Well, no, it's actually at 1:00. Sorry, West Coast time. So it's a early afternoon game. That's what we call them in California, anyways.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That does make it a little trickier. Yeah, I think I'd still go Addison in front of him, like, just because of like, I'm not going to get too scared because of the rookie quarterback there. Yeah, I'll start Addison.
And definitely Rashee Rice, because he's playing the Germany game, 8:30 in the morning West Coast time, or 7:30 West Coast, whatever it is, West Coast time. Like, so you definitely, if you're choosing between those two, I think you have to go Rashee Rice.
Yeah,
or else you're going to be screwed. But I don't know when the Houston game is. I think I'd lean Tank Dell over Downs, just again worried about the injury and things like that. So unless something comes out that they're no limits, no restrictions or whatever. So, yeah, on the Panther side, like it's Adam Thielen and not much else. I mean, Chuba Hubbard, I'm just worried that they go back to Sanders because Chuba Hubbard wasn't even that great with what he did, even though he had like all the touches. Where are you at with him?
They named Chuba Hubbard as the starter for this week.
This week?
Yeah, like I got a sleeper alert a few hours ago that said they're saying Chuba's the starter.
Yeah, I mean that could just mean he's in there on the first drive and they just split carries. Like technically it's like, oh well, he started. But I think hearing that, it makes me a little more excited about him. I guess. Like, would you start him over Aaron Jones?
Man, that's tough. I might do that actually. Like Aaron Jones, man. Like, what do we have to do to get you to play better? Yeah, that's close.
What about Zach Moss? Both have really good matchups. We talk about Carolina's good. Colts are really good to run on too.
Yeah, I think I'll take Chuba there just because he's already been named the starter, and we know that Moss is going to play the backup role.
And the Rams guys?
Oh, yeah, definitely Chuba over those guys because who knows who, like, yeah. Good luck trying to figure out, like, who's going to start or be better or whatever. Who's going to get the touchdown, basically.
Yep. So, yeah, I mean, Chuba's basically like it's almost top 20 running back this week. And again, good matchup. So I think even if he does split carries, he can be efficient, catch the ball. So yeah, that's sucks for Miles Sanders. Don't start Miles Sanders. Not what he had 2 carries. Raheem Blackshear. I think it's Raheem. Blackshear is his last name. He had more carries than Miles Sanders. So avoid Sanders at all costs. Yeah, no one else. I mean, Thielen's a must start. Don't want to start Bryce Young. I mean, you shouldn't be that desperate yet. So into the next matchup, the Giants at the Raiders. The over-under is 37.5. Vegas is favored by 2. The Giants, like, man, if you're super desperate, you can go with Daniel Jones, rushing floor, hopefully. I'm just worried he doesn't run because he just had a neck injury and he's coming back from that. Like, that's what ultimately made me choose Baker over Daniel Jones is like, well, what if he just doesn't run? I don't believe in his ability to pass, especially without Waller. So I just want to avoid that just because I'm afraid he might not run. Where are you at with Daniel Jones?
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, he has been out for 3 weeks, so you gotta hope that neck's feeling better. But yeah, he definitely is gonna want to avoid some contact. And you can run on the Raiders, so Saquon should be getting a lot of work. Although they did kind of mention, I guess Saquon came out and said he has a high ankle sprain that he's going to be dealing with like basically all year. He's just kind of working through it. He was not on the last injury report from today, Friday. So, you definitely fire him up. It should be a great game. I mean, the dude had 40 touches last week. So, yeah.
That's because they had -7 passing yards. It was ridiculous. Oh, my God.
Yeah. Like, Saquon's definitely the engine. Avoid Daniel Jones. Like, you should be able to find a better streamer.
And there's literally no one else on this team because Waller's out. So I don't want to start any of the receivers. If you have to, it's Wandale, but I don't want to. No. I don't want to start any tight end. So avoid at all. I guess I'd probably actually throw Jalen Hyatt out there. If I'm that desperate where I'm starting Wandale, I'm probably just going to throw Jalen Hyatt out there or Darius Slayton and just hope I catch like a bomb touchdown, It just seems to be the way to go. But yeah, no one's starting those guys. Please don't. And the Raiders are always easy. They're going to be starting Aiden O'Connell, but I think Devontae Adams had 14 targets with Aiden O'Connell when he played the one game. So you're starting these guys. Again, I'm always going to start Jacobs. He's top 5 in carries and in targets and receptions. you just can't get away from that. And I think this team's going to be a little inspired potentially about the coach being fired and stuff like that. So you're starting Myers, Jacobs, and Adams. Jacoby Myers is the Myers one. Michael Mayer, I want to see more. I want to see him with Aiden O'Connell do well. So not starting him. Anything we need to say about the Raiders? Again, always an easy team. Besides that they suck.
Yeah. Well, that's why they're so easy, because they're terrible. But it's funny because they have a lot of good fantasy options. I think that's it. We can move on. They're pretty easy.
Yep. We're gonna have a lot of easy starts here. These last 3 games: Cowboys at Eagles. A few good games this week. I mean, Chiefs, Dolphins, Cowboys, Eagles, Bills, Bengals. Those are quality games for sure. Over under for this game, Cowboys at Eagles is 45.5. Philly -3. Real quick, who do you think wins this game? Who did you choose in the pool?
Eagles.
Yeah. I think either team. I wouldn't be shocked by either team really, but I went Eagles as well.
Yeah, Cowboys might have been like the sneakier play because in our pool, you obviously have to be a little different. I didn't actually look at the breakdown. I bet you it's pretty close.
Yeah, no, for sure. But Cowboys have looked at times like the best team in the entire NFL. So wouldn't be surprised if they've kind of turned a corner a bit. But saying that, I mean, Cowboys, you're starting all of them basically. Like Dak to me is a top 7-8 guy. Like Philly has been giving up a lot of points to quarterbacks this year. They're not I don't know. It's like whatever Philly defense that once decides to show up. But they've given up 25 points to Mac Jones, 28 to Kirk Cousins, almost 20 to the first matchup against Howell, 17 to Stafford, and then 32 almost to Sam Howell again. So, they shut down a couple teams. Tua, Zach Wilson, that's not saying anything. Baker, they only gave up 11. So it's kind of like, what Philly defense do you get? I just think this Dallas offense is too good. So I'm rolling Dak out there unless you have Mahomes, Allen, Hurts, those guys, and a few others, of course. Pollard, disappointing, but you're still throwing him out there like you have to. CD Lamb is a must start, obviously. What do you think about like Gallup and Brandon Cooks, who both I think have potential this week, just because it's maybe a little bit of a tougher week? Do you have a preference between the two?
Man, not really. I think I'd lean Brandon Cooks. Maybe that's recency bias because he had a couple of touchdowns in his last 2 games. But I'm not excited about either one of them, honestly. I'm just kind of whatever. If you have one of them and you're super desperate, I guess you could do that, but they have to be back to back, in terms of rankings.
I'd lean Brandon Cooks as well, but I do think if again you're desperate, I think one of them is going to have a good game in this game. So it could be Gallup, it could be Cooks. I do think one of them is going to have a pretty usable game, a double-digit point half PPR game, and that's going to be pretty valuable this week. I wouldn't. Again, one of them is going to finish as a top 30 or 36 receiver. So I'm fine with taking a shot on them over guys like the Packers guys, over Tyler Boyd, Rashid Shaheed, Elijah Moore, just because in theory it's a 50-50 shot. It's obviously not a 50% chance, but if you think about it, okay, one of these guys are going to do well in a potential, high scoring game. So I don't think it's a terrible move if you're that desperate where you're starting those other guys that I mentioned. But I generally agree with you. I'm not super excited about him and probably need a touchdown. But yeah, Brandon Cooks, 13 points and 12 point something the last 2 weeks. So 13 and 12.7. Yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. So Ferguson, again, kind of with all these tight ends, if he's there and he's your tight end, just start him. I think he's probably a top 10 guy this week, easily. So I'm starting Ferguson unless, I have Kelsey or Andrews or Hawkinson or Kincaid, Goddard. So, Yeah. Eagles. Oh, are you going to say something?
No, I was gonna say, yeah, they're pretty easy. Like, fire them up.
Yep. Eagles are
I think,
easy as well.
they're easy for sure.
Starting them: Hurts, Goddard, Devontae Smith, Swift, AJ Brown. You're starting all of them. We mentioned it last week. You don't want to miss out on a Devontae Smith week, and you got a Devontae Smith week. He got almost 20 points in half PPR. So that's his ability every week. Whether AJ Brown is getting 125 yards every week or not. So you're starting all those guys. So although keep an eye on Hurts, he's not running as much since his knee injury. I think it's only been one game, but he didn't really run last week, so it is something to pay attention to. But you're still starting.
He didn't run that much, and he got 40 points, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I know. But I mean, Cowboys defense, you expected. It's not Washington's defense, right? So,
right.
It'll be interesting. It'll be a fun game, hopefully. The Bills and Bengals, I think, is the Sunday night game. Another good game. Again, Bills guys, like, you're starting. Allen, Diggs, Kincaid. There's no brainers in my opinion. Gabe Davis to me is a starter this week. Maybe in 2 wide receiver leagues you can pivot. You know what you're gonna get with Gabe Davis. Like, you just, like, I think it's the CBS guys that say, like, they rank him 25th every week, and they know, like, he could be top 12 or he could be, below, out of the top 40. Like, that's just kind of the player he is.
Yeah. Must start in 3 receiver sets, basically. Like, I think we've said that so many times. Like, he's awesome to have as your wide receiver 3 because he could be the best receiver on your team in any given week. And it doesn't really take that much.
And to his credit, like, we got to see it more than once, but he just had his second most targeted game of his career of 12 targets. Only one other game he had more than that was last year. Looks like in January, maybe they were resting guys. I don't know. But he had 14 targets. So that was only his 4th time where he had double-digit targets, and it was last week. So if they use him like that, you're super excited. But you assume they're going to use him more like a 5 to 7 target guy. So then James Cook, even though it is a little disappointing, like, the usage, he's still a starter in my opinion. Like, he still has the ability to put up big points even without a touchdown. I wish he would catch the ball a little bit more, but I'm still starting him. You have him, Brian. Like, I know it's dynasty, but, like, are you still in that boat of, like, yeah, I'm still starting him, even though 3 of the last 4 weeks have been disappointing?
Yeah. I think you're still firing him up, like, we know what the potential is. Like, the snap share has been pretty consistent. Like, we knew he wasn't going to be a workhorse guy, like, I am a little, it'll be interesting. Do you know if Fournette's going to play this week?
I don't know.
So, yeah, there's news in case you guys haven't heard, listeners, that, Leonard Fournette got signed by the Bills. So that's a little concerning, but I mean, that just kind of tells you that there's something that is not getting done in terms of, like, the running back situation. It could be more affecting Latavius Murray than James Cook, but I think Fournette, once he gets on the roster, it does say he's still on the practice squad, that it could be worrisome. So, maybe if James Cook has a good game, maybe you try and sell him, but it's hard to get rid of a running back who's producing to the extent that he is.
Yeah, it is concerning. I don't think this week it is, but, Fournette could just come in, look really good, and they say, we're going to roll with you. You can catch the ball. You can pass protect. That's the biggest thing with the problem with James Cook is he can't pass protect. And that's why his catches and targets, like, 2 of the last 3 weeks, he's had 1 or 0 targets, So he's kind of a between the 20s guy, but at this point, still starting him unless you're just stacked at running back. So, especially this week, could be a pretty high scoring game. Then Kincaid to start. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, he's probably going to get 15 touches, So it's hard to get away from a guy like that. Like you said, like, no touchdown makes it a little rough. But I'm still, fire him up.
And then a sneaky one is Khalil Shakir. Shakir, I know it's scary, but since Dawson Knox been hurt, they've been running a lot less 2 tight end sets and more 3 wide receiver sets, and he's their 3rd receiver, so he's just on the field. I think it's only been 1 game since Dawson Knox, but if you look at his snap share, it jumped up to 65% from 35% the last basically every game before that. So if he's going to be out there 65, 70%, and you're desperate, again, you're scraping the bottom of the barrel of Jaden Reeds and DJ Sharks and KJ Osborne's and Wan'Dale Robinson's, like, Shakir's not a bad option because he's on a good offense in a potential high-scoring game. So, just think about that if you are, again, scraping the bottom of the barrel like I am in our league. So, deeper league and stuff. I wouldn't be surprised if he has 6 for 80 or something like that, Yeah. So that's it with the Bills. We said start Kincaid, obviously. And then the Bengals, Burrow, Chase, Mixon, Higgins are starters in my opinion. So
yeah, that's it. They're pretty easy. I feel like Mixon did have he got put onto the injury report today. I guess it says he practiced in full today and yesterday. A chest injury. I don't know. It's weird. It's like, well, why is he on the injury report if he practiced in full? I don't know. Just keep an eye on it. I'm sure it sounds like it's fine, And I think we have T. Higgins back to some extent. He hasn't had the big game yet. Since he's been back.
Devontae Smith.
Yeah, you don't want to miss. You don't want to miss on him. So just start him up.
Yeah, especially in this game, it could be a shootout. So, and again, that makes Tyler Boyd again, if you look at his who's ranked around him, the Green Bay guys, Rashid Shaheed, Elijah Moore, JSN, KJ Osborne. I'm taking Boyd over all the, what I mean? It's like he's on a good offense in a potential shootout. Give me that, always. Just go think about that when you're trying to decide, again, these tough starts, going deep into the bag. So, but yeah, everyone else is a starter there. Not their tight end, obviously. And we'll get into the last game, the Chargers and the Jets. Over under is 40.5. Chargers are favored by 3.5. I know it's a tough matchup with the Jets, and they've made basically every quarterback they've played they've had bad games against them, and that includes some good quarterbacks, by the way. So that does make me concerned, and we've seen the Chargers offense, not look good at times this year. But I'm still starting them all. But yeah, just double checking. I wanted to read off the Jets. So yeah, they played Allen, Dak, Mac Jones, Mahomes, Russell Wilson, Jalen Hurts, Tommy DeVito. But anyways, Jalen Hurts is the only guy to get over 20. Dak had 19.5. Everyone else was most of all the other ones are below 15 or below. So still starting Herbert, Eckler, Allen. Quentin Johnston's an interesting one. I don't know if you can wait that long to see, because if Palmer's out, I think Quentin Johnston's a potential play here. It's not the best matchup, but again, if you're desperate, the problem is you're not going to know if Palmer's going to be out. I don't think so.
Yeah, don't be surprised if they just say game time decision. Well, I mean, he didn't practice today. They got one more practice tomorrow because of the Monday night game. So we might actually hear something tomorrow. If Palmer gets ruled out, then definitely fire up Johnston.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'd throw him in over guys like Marquise Brown, Demario Douglas, the Green Bay guys, maybe even Rashee Rice. Maybe not Rashee Rice, actually. I think I'd lean Rashee Rice. I think that's kind of so he's a low-end wide receiver 3 to me. In 3 wide receiver leagues with the flex, he can throw him in there, but because the matchup kind of sucks. And we haven't really seen him do a whole lot. So, And then I'm double checking with Gerald Everett what his I know he had he returned to practice. Okay, so I mean he's a desperation tight end throw out there. I think actually tight ends do well against the Jets, mostly because the receivers don't. But they give up the 5th most points to tight ends, so he's a sneaky play, I guess. Like they could try and run their offense through him a little bit, but again, that's if you don't have like I'd start him over like Michael Mayer, Hunter Henry, Johnny Smith, Luke Musgrave, guys like that. Cole Kmet or Gerald Everett.
Justin Herbert. Sorry, yeah, Justin Herbert does like to use his tight ends in the red zone, so. So yeah, I'm gonna lean Everett there
over Kmet.
Yeah,
over Njoku.
Yes,
against Arizona with Watson back.
Yeah, I'll still go Everett. I mean, it's just you're literally just trying to predict the touchdown, right? So it's like you said. I mean, the over-under isn't like great in our favor. You know, it's like basically 21 implied points or something, 22. So, yeah, no, it's not great, but I think I like Everett better. I mean, it's a little tough because you don't know if he's just going to be the guy. You know, like we've seen Donald Parham take some of the work. Also, like there's no real rhyme or reason to it, and he's been fine too. Like, he actually has more touchdowns than Everett. So
I think he has the highest like touchdown to target rate in the NFL or something. Over the last 3 years.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's kind of it with the Chargers. Jets are always easy. It's Brees Hall and it's Garrett Wilson. And that's it. That is it's for them. Anything else on this game or this
Dalvin.
week? Yeah, seriously. But yeah, anything else on this game or week or predictions?
No, I hope the Chargers win because they're the last leg in my 6 parlay that I put in when I was out in Vegas this last week. So I'm sure I'll lose it way before it comes down to the last game, but I do need the Chargers to win and cover, which I think they will.
It is amazing how hard it is to hit even just a 4-game parlay against the spread. I could do this, but no, it's freaking hard. For sure. But that's it. Enjoy your weekend and good luck in week 9. And hopefully you guys win. Hopefully we hope to a little bit. We'll be back with the recap Monday, and we'll catch you guys all then.